Half price. That's what they said she was worth. $20 for a 5-year contract because the Apache girl standing on the auction block hadn't spoken since the cavalry dragged her from the canyon where everyone she loved died screaming. The men of Tucson whispered she was cursed, broken, useless. Nobody wanted to risk good money on damaged goods, so they dropped her price like she was spoiled meat. 50 men stood in that plaza, and 49 of them saw garbage. But rancher Ezra Mitchell saw something else, not a broken object, but a human being stripped of everything except the will to survive. When he raised his hand to bid, he didn't know he was about to save 2 lives. The September heat in Tucson felt like standing inside a forge. Ezra Mitchell watched the labor auction from the back of the crowd, 50 men seeking workers for ranches and mines. Next contract. Apache girl, approximately 14, survivor of the Cañon de los Embudos raid. A murmur rippled through. Everyone knew that raid. 3 months ago, cavalry attacked an Apache camp. 23 dead, 5 captured, including this girl. She stood on the platform like stone, maybe 5 feet tall, thin from missed meals, wearing rough cotton. Her long black hair hung loose, partially hiding her face. She didn't look at the crowd, didn't look at anything. Starting bid, $40 for 5 years. Silence. Men shifted uncomfortably. She's cursed, someone whispered. Hasn't spoken since they brought her in. $30, the auctioneer adjusted. More silence. Ezra watched her hands, the only part that moved. Her fingers trembled rhythmically, counting something invisible. $20. Half price, gentlemen. She's broken, a merchant said loudly. Mine's gone, useless. $20 or we move on. $20, Ezra said. Every head turned. The crowd revealed him, a rancher in his mid-30s, known for running cattle on difficult land 30 miles east. Mr. Mitchell places 20. Any other bids? Silence. Sold to Ezra Mitchell. The paperwork took 15 minutes. Ezra paid in silver coins. The contract specified she'd work as household and ranch assistant, receive food and shelter, couldn't be resold. At contract's end, she'd be free. You're making a mistake, the auctioneer said quietly. Girl won't eat properly. Won't respond to commands. Then maybe she needs something other than commands. Ezra approached the platform where she still stood. Up close, the trembling wasn't just her hands. Her entire body vibrated like wire pulled too tight. Her eyes were dark brown and empty. My name is Ezra Mitchell, he said in English, then limited Apache. I have a ranch. You'll come with me. I won't hurt you. No response, not even acknowledgement. He removed his hat and held it with both hands. Respect. Then stepped back, creating space. My wagon is there. I'm going to walk to it. You can follow or not. Your choice. He walked away without looking back. Climbed into the wagon seat. Waited. Minutes passed. Then, light footsteps in dust. She appeared at the wagon's side, standing 6 feet away, fingers still counting invisible numbers. Ezra opened the wagon's back. Among supply crates he'd placed a blanket and pillow. You can ride there. It's soft. He returned to the driver's seat. After another minute, the wagon shifted as she climbed aboard. He didn't look back. The important thing wasn't where she sat. It was that she'd chosen to come. The 30-mile journey would take until sunset. Ezra clicked the reins. Ezra's ranch sat in a valley where an underground spring provided rare year-round water. Adobe house, barn, 4 horses, a cow, chickens. 200 head of cattle on grazing land. He showed her the small second room. This is yours. Door locks from inside. Only you control it. She stood in the doorway, not entering. The first 3 days established a pattern. Ezra worked his routine, tended animals, rode fence lines, repaired equipment. She stayed in her room mostly, though sometimes he'd find her on the porch, staring at nothing. He left food outside her door 3 times daily. Plates came back empty, but he never saw her eat. On the fourth morning, he found her in the chicken coop. She'd gathered eggs, carefully, expertly, and arranged them in a basket with straw. She stood holding it, face expressionless, but her hands had stopped trembling. "Thank you," Ezra said simply. "That helps me." Something flickered in her eyes, brief but present. That afternoon, he saddled his gentlest horse, an older mare named Steady. The girl was on the porch as usual. "I need to check the north fence. 2 hours ride. You can come if you want." He mounted and waited. After 5 minutes, weight shifted behind him. She climbed on, sitting side saddle without touching him. They rode in silence. Ezra narrated occasionally, "Cattle gather there in heat," or "creek runs during monsoon," not expecting responses, just offering information. At the fence line, he dismounted and began repairs. She slid off and sat nearby, watching. Her eyes tracked his movements with sudden focus. As sun descended, painting the desert copper and gold, Ezra heard something that stopped him. Humming, barely audible, almost lost in wind, but present. An Apache melody from before. He continued working as if nothing changed, but his heart raced. Sound meant connection. Connection meant healing had begun. Late September brought monsoons, violent storms transforming dry washes into rivers within minutes. Ezra learned to read signs: copper smell, distant clouds, animal behavior. When the storm hit, he was checking the barn roof while she worked in the garden. Sky darkened from blue to bruised purple in an hour. "Storm coming! Need to get inside!" Lightning struck a cottonwood 200 yards away, boom simultaneous with flash. The girl dropped her basket and bolted, not toward the house, but toward open desert, running with blind panic. Ezra ran after her. "Wait! It's just weather!" But she couldn't hear over continuous thunder. Rain arrived like a curtain. He caught up at the creek bank, now filling rapidly. She'd fallen to her knees, arms around her head, body shaking violently. The sound wasn't humming, it was keening, wounded animal terror. She was back in that canyon, unable to distinguish between thunder and gunfire. Ezra dropped beside her, not touching. Rain soaked them both. "You're safe. I'm here. You're not there. You're here." He kept repeating it. Minutes passed. Storm raged, but he stayed. Gradually, her breathing changed. Keening stopped, arms loosened. Then, for the first time since the auction, she looked directly at him. Her eyes held everything: terror, shame, exhaustion, and desperate hope. "Safe," she whispered. First word he'd heard, voice hoarse from disuse. "Safe? Yes." He nodded firmly. "You're safe, I promise." She reached out, so unexpected he almost flinched, and grabbed his hand. Desperately, the grip of someone drowning who'd found something solid. Ezra held on. They stayed through the worst of the storm, her hand locked in his, until thunder moved east and became just sound. When they walked back, she didn't let go. The storm marked a turning point. She began speaking, haltingly, single words in Apache and broken English, then phrases. Ezra learned her name, Nora. She told fragments when ready, how soldiers came at dawn, how her mother pushed her into a crevice and covered the entrance, how she watched through gaps as they killed everyone, how she survived 3 days silent before cavalry found her. "They said I was lucky," she told him one evening while preparing dinner. "Lucky to be alive, lucky to be useful to someone." "You're not here because you're useful," Ezra said carefully. "You're here because you're a person who deserves a chance to heal. Why did you bid? Everyone said I was broken." "You weren't broken, you were surviving. There's a difference." He set down the potato he was peeling. "My brother died at Antietam. His eyes looked like yours on that platform, empty, gone. I always wondered if just sitting with him, being present without needing him to perform being alive, if that would have helped." Winter came. Nora spoke more freely, teaching Ezra Apache words for English ones. She told stories from before, her grandmother teaching plants, her father making her laugh, her little brother following her everywhere. She cried sometimes. Ezra let her. Understanding tears were part of returning dignity, the right to grieve, to feel, to be human. One December morning, he found her saddling steady. "I want to ride to the ridge, to see sunrise. Is that allowed?" The question twisted something in his chest. "Nora, you don't need permission to ride on your own land." "My land. Our land. You've worked it, cared for it. That makes it yours too." He'd been thinking about this for weeks. "When your contract ends, I'll sign half the ranch over to you, legal and proper." She stared. "Why?" "Because you have value that has nothing to do with what you produce. You're a human being who deserves to own something, to have security. That's your worth. That's always been your worth." Tears streamed down her face, clean grief and relief. "They put me on that platform like I was nothing, like cattle. You bought me for $20, half price, too damaged for 40. I didn't buy you. I bought a contract that gave me the legal right to offer what you should have had, choice, safety, and time to become yourself again." He gestured to steady. "Now go watch your sunrise. Come back when ready, or don't, if you find somewhere better. Your life is yours. It always was. I'm just returning what was stolen." She rode out as dawn painted the sky rose and gold. Ezra watched, hoping she understood. The greatest gift wasn't shelter or kindness, but the radical notion that she'd always possessed inherent dignity, that the auction block couldn't take it away, that no price tag could define a human soul. She returned 3 hours later, dismounting with easy confidence. "I saw eagles, 4 of them. My grandmother said eagles were messengers, reminders we're stronger than we know." "Smart woman, your grandmother." "Yes." Nora unsaddled steady, with gentle competence. "And you're a smart man, Ezra Mitchell. You saw what others refused to see, not a broken object worth $20, just a person who needed time to remember who she was." "Did you remember?" She looked at him with eyes finally fully present. "I'm starting to, and it turns out I'm worth considerably more than half price." "Always were."